my wife is raising our kids by ourselves right now, but they know, and my little daughter Jade, this is my wife Sherry. My beautiful little daughter Jade, she's always reminding me, she's so mature, she's now 10 years old, and she's always saying, Dad, we know. You know, whenever I'm kind of emotional when I talk about my family. They say, I'm sorry, guys, I'm always leaving, I'm always gone, I know. My little daughter Jade always reminds me, she says, Dad, we know that you're doing it for our freedom. And she reminds me of that, and that's my little daughter Jade right there. And then my hunting buddy, you can't tell which one is that, definitely camouflage. That's my hunting buddy, and we love hunting what? Turkeys and coyotes, and I'll tell you, he is quite a hunter. He got a BB gun for Christmas, and there is not a safe bird in this county. His name is Heston, named after the immortal Charlton Heston. And then his little brother, Reagan, we just pulled that name out of the air, but that's Reagan. So that's my family, and they're heading home. I'll see you in a while. I will be very brief because I want to hear Larry Pratt. But I want to talk just a minute. In February of this year, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, quote, I would not look to the U.S. Constitution if I were drafting a Constitution in the year 2012. Yeah. She suggested that they may look at South Africa. The South African Constitution, where in the Constitution is written your right to an affordable home, but not the right to bear arms to protect that affordable home. Why such distrust of the United States Constitution? Why such disdain for our founding fathers? I believe part of it is the Second Amendment. Ruth Bader Ginsburg and others on the court believe that they don't believe the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is very simple. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't think she understands what the term right of the people means. Guess what? We have a Supreme Court and several justices on the Supreme Court who believe the right to bear arms is a collective right. And all that means, and Mr. Wood talked about that, Gary talked about it earlier, a collective right is simply a right that you can't exercise. That's all a collective right is. What is a collective right? I don't know. But there's people on the Supreme Court who believe that the right to bear arms is a collective right. We have a president who is overtly against the right to bear arms in the Second Amendment. We have an Attorney General who I have a feeling we're going to hear a little bit about tonight. We have an Attorney General who is not only against the individual right to bear arms, but has taken steps that has dramatically harmed our ability to keep and bear arms. I took off the internet some quotes from Justice Ginsburg as well as some others, Justice Stevens. They believe that the founders would have made the individual right aspect of the Second Amendment express if that was what was intended. They also said that the militia preamble demands the conclusion that the Second Amendment touches on state militia service only. Those were two things they talked about. Such a blatant lack of historical knowledge of the Constitution from people who serve on the High Court and people who serve at the federal level is embarrassing. A simple search of by a 6-year-old could tell you that the Second Amendment is an individual right to bear arms. And I looked up some quotes, and I believe the Founding Fathers have something to say about this. James Madison said, The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia composed of the body of people trained to arms is the most natural defense of a free country. George Mason went on and said, I ask you, sir, what is a militia? It is the whole people, except for a few public officials. One of my, as you may know, I am the founder of a state sovereignty organization called the Patrick Henry Caucus. It was founded right here in Utah, and it is spread around the country, dedicated to preserving state sovereignty and pushing back against the ever-encroaching federal government that wants to be all things to all people at the expense of liberty and freedom. Well, Patrick Henry had this to say about the Second Amendment and about the right to bear arms. He said, are we at last brought to such humiliating and debasing degradation that we cannot be trusted with arms for our defense? Where is the difference between having our arms in possession and under our direction and having them under the management of Congress? If our defense be the real object of having those arms, in whose hands can they be trusted with more propriety or equal safety to us as in our own hands? And if those are not clear enough, how about these two barn burners from Thomas Jefferson, who said, no free man or woman, he just said man, will absolutely include women, no free man or woman shall ever be debarred the use of arms. In addition, he said, those who hammer the guns into plowshares will plow for those who do not. Amen. Amen. I am passionate about the Second Amendment because I am passionate about liberty. I am passionate about the Second Amendment because I am passionate about freedom. I am passionate about the Second Amendment because it is the amendment that guarantees that you and I will be protected and all of our other rights can be protected because of our ability to bear arms. I am passionate about the Second Amendment because I'm passionate about this nation, the Constitution, and the freedoms that we enjoy here. I'm also passionate about it because I'm a pragmatist in some ways, and let me tell you. I would just like to tell you, I've had talks about people who want what they call reasonable gun laws, including a waiting period. As Ben said, I was not really made for politics. I got into politics 6 years ago. Never had really been involved before that. I was a SWAT team commander. I was a police officer. I've been a K-9 officer. And there was a situation I just want to tell you. Every time I hear somebody talk about waiting periods, every time I hear someone talk about reasonable